Today we're gonna edit the photo of the oranges in the dark and moody style that we shot in the previous video, which I will link down below. So let's go and start editing in Lightroom. So yeah, if you want to do exactly the same edit on this particular image here, I have a raw file ready for you. Just go in the description below and you will find it. So these are the two images that we took in the previous video. It's actually the same image. The only difference is that with one we used the black foam board on the right side. It's this image here, and we didn't use it on this one here. Let's compare it. So this is without the black foam board, and if you look at the shadows you still can see some detail here, whereas with this one the shadows are much darker. So again, let's look at the difference. I think both are really great images. In terms of light, I prefer to have just a little bit definition in the shadows for this particular image, so I would go and edit this one, but actually each of those would make a great photo. So let's go to the develop module and edit this image. So in terms of composition and cropping for this image, I wouldn't really change anything. I would just check how the cropping for Instagram would look like, just to see if it looks okay, because I was already paying attention to it when I was creating the composition, so that I can also post this on Instagram. So the next thing I want to do is check the white balance and the exposure. To me it looks quite okay, because I was already paying attention to this when I was taking the photo, but if I didn't, this is the time when to do it, because I should do it before I make any other adjustments. The next thing I will do is go to the lens corrections and choose enable profile corrections, so Lightroom will already see what camera and what lens I used, and it will fix the distortion and vignetting a little bit. Then I will go back to the basic panel. And since I'm going for kind of a moody rustic image, I want to bring down the blacks a little bit. Let's go down to about -24. Yes. And I also want to create some contrast between the shadowy parts and the white parts. I will bring up the whites just a little bit. I don't want that to be too much, because then I will be getting too much of a contrast. I will leave highlights as they are, because to me they look okay in most parts. I would want to add some local adjustments here and here, just to bring down those highlights a little bit, but generally in the image they look okay. And in terms of texture and clarity, I also don't want to apply it to the entire image. I will also do a local adjustment later, where I will only be placing it on the basket here, but I can do the dehaze over the entire image, just a little bit. +9 is fine. I really like how it sort of makes deeper, richer shadows, and also adds contrast as well. I will leave vibrance and saturations as they are, because I will be managing color separately in the color panel later. Then I go to the tone curve, and I want to create kind of an S-curve, so I get even more contrast, which is really nice in a dark image like this one. So I would add a point in the center, and then bring down, let's go back one point. I would first bring this line up here just a little bit, because I think it adds kind of like a rusty feel if you make the blacks a little bit more grayish rather than black. And then I would bring down the blacks here, the shadows. This looks quite okay. I like the oranges and the reds in terms of saturation and the color, so I really wouldn't touch those. What I see here is that we have a little bit of a yellow hue here, which I would actually desaturate a little bit. Let's just go way down so you can see where it's happening. So you can see the difference. I would just move them down just like -22, looks nice. Then we can move to the greens. I feel like these leaves here could look just a little bit more fresh. So I would bring the green hue towards the blue just a little bit, maybe around 10. But since it's quite saturated color, I would bring down the saturation a little bit so they don't look really artificial. I already edited this image before I did this video, and I was playing around with the blue color of this napkin here. And I found it that if I move this blue slider, the hue slider in the blue panel, towards the left, it becomes this really nice green color. It's a bit too saturated, so I bring the saturation down like this, -51. It looks nice. And I think the color really goes well with the leaves and the oranges in this image. I think it looks much more peaceful and calm, yeah. So then we also have the detail. I don't want to sharpen this image too much. Let's just see. I try to go up just to see where it starts to look artificial and see where it looks okay. I think around 50 is nice. I also want to do some masking because I don't want to apply it to the entire image, just the edges. Then I also have the luminance and color noise reduction. I want to first zoom in just to see how the shadowy parts look, because this is where the noise will really come forward. I think in terms of luminance it looks really nice. I already have this color set. I usually do this around 15 if I shoot at ISO 100. Unless it looks off, then I change it. But to me this looks okay right now. So I don't want to apply any vignette here because it's already quite dark. What I'll do is add a little bit of a gradient filter here in this right corner here. Let's zero it out and just decrease the exposure just a little bit so it's not, this edge is not so bright, and that's it. I don't want to add any vignette. Now I want to do some local adjustments. To me, when I first glanced at this image, it looks like this bottle in the back is maybe not so prominent, and I just want to add just a little bit of a light, like exposure here. Just a tiny bit, not much. Let's do 0.3. So it's just standing out just a little bit more so we can see that it's an orange juice, it's not some dark stuff there in the back. Like I said, I want to remove the highlights here just a touch. Just want to bring them down. So let's just zoom a little bit. I don't want to go too far, I just want this highlights to be a little bit darker so it's not kind of too bright in comparison with this main like focal point of the image, this orange here. And I will also add just a little bit of an exposure here in this orange. Just a tiny bit, like really just a tiny amount. Then I also think that this mandarin here is a little bit too bright. So I'll add another gradient filter. You could also use a brush and just bring the highlight down as well, just a little bit. -13 will be okay. And then I also want to add some clarity and texture to this part of the image, like I also already said. So if you want to check where the effect will apply, you can press O and you can see that this will only apply to this part of the image. So like I said, I want to add some texture and clarity, just a little bit. I don't want it to look fake, I just want to add some definition, so just to bring the focus more towards this part of the image. And I want to add some clarity as well, and also not too much, so it doesn't look fake. One more thing I also noticed is that this bottle here has some green hue here, and we can fix those by going to lens corrections. We could try to add the remove chromatic aberration to the profile menu. I don't think this is doing much, so I will go to the manual, and since it's more towards the blue, I will choose the blue part of the slider green hue here. So I'm changing the green slider. These are these ones here, because the hue here is green, it's not purple or magenta. So then I will go and try and see where, let's go a little bit closer, where it starts to look less obvious. Let's see before and after. It looks much better now when we look at it from afar. Now that I'm looking at it, I want to add just a little bit more darkness in this part here, so I will just decrease the exposure just a little bit. I don't want this to be too much, just a little bit. Yes, just a little definition here. So yes, I think that's really beautiful. We did a great job, and now let's look at how the image looked before. We can see that there's much more contrast, the textures stand out in this image much more. I really like the color of the napkin in this one in comparison to this one. I could have used the green napkin from when I was styling this image, but I didn't see it, so it was an easy fix. Thank you so much for being here. If you like this video, please comment and subscribe so you don't miss the future videos. And I'll see you all next time.